All right.
Okay.
So let's get
Okay.
started. I'm gonna mute everybody, and when you're gonna talk, you can unmute yourself. So let's mute all. Yes. And I was thinking we can do as we always do. We just give a short introduction. And let's start with you, John. Can you give one? It seems to be quiet right now. Maybe you can give us an intro.
Sure. Well, I'm John McGee, and originally from Michigan, but I live in Iowa. I've been on the sidelines probably since 2009. I've known about the Venus Project and silently advocated for it, through word of mouth and Facebook and stuff. About 7 months ago, I decided that I wanted to start doing more to get involved. So progression has brought us the day.
Have you applied to become a POC or something like that?
I did apply for the POC. Unfortunately, I didn't make it this round, so
Okay.
I'll apply again and hopefully get accepted in the next round.
All right, sounds good. So can I ask you, how much material have you watched about the Venus Project?
Pretty much a great deal of it. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't want to say all of it because I'm sure I haven't seen all of it, but close to it.
Have you read any of the books?
I need to get the book.
Yeah.
I've been on the fence about the book now for months. I've probably gone to the store 2 or 3 times, almost clicked it, just didn't. Not yet.
Yeah. But primarily you watch the YouTube clips, right?
Yeah. I was brought into the movement through Peter Joseph, probably like a lot of people through his Zeitgeist movies and stuff. And I don't know if it was just a saturation of the material or insight or whatever, but I just, in my heart of hearts, I knew that this feels right. Looking at the world, I can see that we're progressing towards it. I know that we're going to be an RBE one day, and I'd rather have the Venus Project be the foundation of that RBE, considering that it addresses the not just, efficient use of material and knowledge, but thinking processes as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Did you want to share this with one of your friends later? Was that why?
Yeah, I don't mind to share this with everybody.
Yeah.
I've been singing on the mountain, as they say, I guess.
Yeah. Annoying people, that's what we say.
Yeah, relentless.
They're like,
man.
what are you talking about? Stop
Right.
annoying people, John.
I'm just a messenger. Go watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you for that. I have you like ranked here, so I'm just
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you
for all you guys do.
Thank you. Bolo Lang, can you give us an introduction?
The name is Bulelan Rakepile. I'm the POC for South Africa, but also I work with surrounding areas here. I think that's about all.
Okay, thank you for that. Peter?
Yes, hello. My name is Peter. I'm a POC for Australia, and I help out with some of the admin tasks for the POCs. Some of you guys and girls I've known from previous weeks, so yeah.
All right, thank you. Tatiana?
Hi. My name is Tatiana. I am from Ukraine, but I have been living in Poland about for 6 years. And I following Jacque Fresco about 4 years, 3-4 years, and I still trying to learn about this project, about this way of thinking, and I like this idea. I try to now I try to learn more about this project.
Great.
Thanks.
And you send me some questions.
Yes.
Yes, and we're going to go through those. And please don't send those late at night, because then I have to sit and reading, and I'm going through it, and I'm not sleeping.
Okay.
Send them a little bit earlier.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Next time I will send and in the morning.
Yes, better. That's much better.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, I forget how to pronounce this, but is it Gulan? Wait, you have to unmute you. Can you say it one more time? Gulam?
Golan.
Golan.
Golan. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Can you give us an introduction?
You know how to mute, but you don't know how to get me my speech. You know, you don't know how to call me in my name. What did you ask?
Can you give us an introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Golan. I'm from Israel, from a kibbutz in Israel. And I am the project like 1 or 2 years, not a lot, but the couple of months maybe I starting to really want to be involved in things in the project, and I'm doing it from the Israeli branch, you know, of the project. It's a little slow in here, but I think I am getting progress, you know. So in Israel, we want to get an like a center for people.
I hear you. I hear you a little bit low. Do you have a microphone?
In the computer.
It's a computer. Okay, it's a little bit low. Is it low for somebody else? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So for everyone. Now better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we're building a center in Israel for to promote. Don't hear me?
No, it goes like high and then it goes super low. But we can wait with that. See if you can fix it. We met each other last week, so let me continue and we can see if you can fix that mic. Okay. Stefan. I forget. Is it Stefan or Stefan?
Depends on what language you're pronouncing it in, I suppose. In your language, it's Stefan.
Yes, but you spell it differently.
It's a Dutch spelling, yeah.
That's a Dutch spelling, yeah. So, that's why I get confused.
Stefan, yeah, Stefan. I don't. People use all kinds of. I've even been called Etienne.
Like Ukrainian Stefan, we have the same name, Stefan.
There's much Scandinavian culture in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Your flag even has the exact same colors as ours, right? In Sweden, yeah. That's funny. Okay. So background, myself. Well, this is the bottom of a rabbit hole for me. So I think in about 2010, I stumbled upon some thinking around, what do I say, peak oil and calculations around that. And that led to the Zeitgeist movement and eventually also naturally here to TVP as well. And I went last year, and was it last year or was it the year before that? I went and visited Roxanne in Florida. I had saved up a ton of miles from travel, so I used them all to go there, and it was really, really worth it. It was very much fun to actually see these buildings and the thinking behind it and all the models and the reasoning and stuff like that. It was a great trip, I must say. Although I did get lost on my way there. It's not easy to find at all.
No.
I mean, I'll underline at all.
But I used like Google Maps. It was, but without that, it would have been impossible. But
yeah, I did use Google Maps, and I was following the directions, but it was taking me somewhere else, some odd, strange direction that I failed to see the logic. I would have been better off with a paper map and a compass, I promise.
Okay. Okay. All right, great. And we have somebody else here.
Yep, David, and I think I can see each individual hair on his shin.
Yeah.
He's very close to the camera.
Hey, David.
So thanks for having me tonight. I interrupted my game of Age of Empires with my wife because I saw the reminder come up.
That's a good excuse to get out of it. Hopefully you can get back to it soon again. All right. Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. How's everybody?
Good, thank you. We were just doing introductions. Can you give us a short introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Okay. My name is David Medina. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela. I knew about the Venus project about 4 or 5 years ago. There are many aspects of the project that I identify with, and I'm starting all the process to become a POC. And I join Spanish speaking groups, and today I would like to join this international to see share ideas and experiences about it.
That's
Okay.
great. Good to have you here. Can I just ask you a couple of questions? How much
Yeah, sure.
material have you watched?
Well, I have seen a lot of videos about the Venus project, about Jacque's Fresco proposal, a lot of podcasts, a lot of Roxanne Meadows interviews and podcasts too. I have read a few documents, and yes, let's say I have let's say basic knowledge about the concept of the Venus project, the vision, and where they want to go. And as I said, I was very identified with all the proposals, and I decided to jump in.
That's great. Can I ask you, have you read any of the books?
Well, I slightly took a little bit about designing the future, and I haven't read The Best That Money Can Buy. I haven't read it. And that's to-do. That's
yeah.
in my to-do list.
Starting tomorrow, right?
Okay, you got me.
One more question.
Yeah.
Have you listened to any of the videos and audio lectures that they have in their store? Have you listened to those?
Yes, not all of them, a few. Okay,
So you
they're
bought
very
those.
interesting.
You bought those?
No, not yet. I haven't bought any.
Oh.
I have made contributions, yes, but I haven't bought any audio yet.
Okay. All right, great. I ask always new people, then I get a sense of where they're at, how much they know. And just so you know, when you watch videos on YouTube, mostly of them are like an introduction. That's why
Correct.
It's almost the same thing, it's giving an intro.
Yes.
there, if you want to go deeper, then you have to listen to the audio lectures that they sell in the store. Then you get
Okay.
more knowledge. And the books is a good way of summarizing all of that.
Good.
So that's why I ask. So now I'm going to give an introduction as well. So my name is Pejman. I live in Sweden. And I've been holding these kinds of meetings or lectures, I like to refer to them,
Okay.
for 10 years. No, sorry, 8 years. I started learning 10 years ago. And after 2 years, I wanted to discuss it with people, and I had nobody that wanted to discuss it. So I started to create these events or something like this. But I did it in Stockholm. And just been doing it like every month or 2 months for 8 years. And the difference, I listened to all the material I could get my hands on the first 4 years, and read as many books as as I could. I don't enjoy reading that much, but I went through some of the books, and then I went to Florida and met Jacque and Roxanne. And when I was there, I wanted to get access to more audio, and I knew that they had more. So I told them, I'm gonna transcribe them for you, because I knew they wanted that. So they gave me a lot of material, but I had to do the work. They didn't just give it to me. So after 3 years, I spent all my free time, instead of watching TV or playing video games or doing other things, I spent most of my time transcribing. So they gave me access to that. So the difference is that I have gotten to listen to more material. And I know if you had listened to those, all of this would make more sense, the things we talk about. So we have one more person here. Did I talk to John? Are you there? No, yes, it's John. We talked already. It went in and out. Got his kids.
No, I'm still here. I'm just
All
running.
right. No problem, John. All right. So how we're gonna do this session is that
You missed Tatiana.
no, I did.
Didn't?
I asked her. Yeah, you're sleeping. Wake up,
Yeah,
Peter. Wake up.
That's true. Shut up.
Shut up. So what we're gonna do is that I have prepared a little segment of the Venus project. I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about a few questions that were sent to me. And then we're going to open it up. So let me share this PowerPoint. Let's see here. Wait, give me one awkward second to fix this. I want to have this over. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's do it like. That's right. Yeah, you see the rules, right? Okay, so we have a few rules here. No conspiracy theories. That's not what we do here. We have enough difficulties just talking about this subject. And when people go into conspiracies, it's like we can't get anywhere. And no personal promotions if you're doing something. This is not the right place for it. If you have something you're doing on the side and you want to share it, this is not the right place. And I have added one more rule from the last time. That is that this session, we're here to learn about the Venus project. Just like if you would go to learn about the human body. You're here to ask questions, or we're here to discuss it, or whatever. But we're not here to talk about what you're going to do with this knowledge, or what the Venus project should be doing. This is not the place for it. We have other places for that. For example, becoming a point of contact That's the right place for it. Or speaking to me directly, or Peter, or many other people that handle those things. We can have those discussions in another place. But here we try to learn about what the Venus Project is. That's the purpose of these sessions. So when we come to the end, if you have any questions, I always tell my POC friends, that which I meet once a week, is that whenever I hold these sessions, the questions that are asked, those are the most important ones to me. Those are the ones that help me to grow and learn and, reevaluate how I look at the Venus Project. So don't be shy, just ask the questions when we come to that place. So today's session, we're going to be talking about change. A lot of people ask, they have difficulties understanding how this comes about. And I had a lot of difficulties as well in trying to understand that. It took many years. You have to understand many different things to understand how change comes about. But to simplify it, I've spoken about this a few times, but I'm going to do it again. What will happen is that machines will start to replace people. People will start to lose their jobs. And the picture we have in our heads is that it is the manufacturer, the person that is low educated, that's the person that is going to lose their job. But we say that all jobs in the future will be lost. The doctor, the engineer, the pharmacist, even the programmer, and even the scientist will lose their job because of automation. And the role people play, they have two roles in today's society. They are producers and they are consumers. That's what they do here. Now they lose their role as a producer. Now they only have one role left, and that is to consume. But the problem is that now they don't have money in their pockets to be able to consume. And that's what will bring this system to break. It can't go on if people aren't buying. But the problem is that it will take a very long time. And I was thinking of an example of trying to show you how long it takes before they let go of the system. And I found Blockbuster. This is an American company which rents out, movies on CDs. And they used to be really big. They used to have 7,000 stores. And Netflix came along and it destroyed them. But there is still one store left. And they're hanging on. And even COVID, they put their masks on and it's still going. People are still there, even though it's very obsolete. People are still clinging to it. And as long as people cling to it, it persists. As long as it's making money, it's going to continue. And that's how this system is going to be. It's going to be a very obsolete, old system, but somehow it's still running for the people in charge. And they will say, rent out the videos. And you say, there is no need. We have surpassed it. Say, no, it's still working. And they will continue until it doesn't work anymore. So what you will learn with the Venus Project is the mindset of being able to, sit back in some sense and not lose your sanity, and start going up to people and say, are you insane? Why don't we do this? You learn that things come at the appropriate time. You sit there and you learn about this and you wait. And when the shit explodes under you, then you say, okay, now we're going to step into the new future. And what you will have learned that it is time when the change comes. It is time for you to let go of many things which you feel should be something important. The better you become at letting go and stepping into the future, the easier it will be for you. So you're open. The more you learn, the more you're going to be like, I'm waiting for something new. I know it's going to be different, but it's going to be the beginning of something very special, which is really needed. So you will not cling to the old system. You will be a part of the people that will step into it easier. So that was the short, a little bit about the change. And I can tackle that in many different ways. Somehow, this question comes up many times. And even though I explain it many times, it doesn't stick. It's somehow, this particular question is very difficult for many people to really grasp. But I think that there is no simple answer. There are many things you need to understand this particular, how change comes about. Because how we view it is very different from how we have been raised to view change. A lot of people think that you have to hold a sign up. That doesn't work. We say that's not how change comes about. It comes at the appropriate time. So I'm gonna take one question I got, and I'm so sad that Florian that asked the question isn't here. So, but hopefully he might listen to the recording and he will enjoy it or something. So he asked a question. He said, how can we have abundance and sustainability at the same time? You know, how can we have a world where you have access to fantastic things? It's there whenever you want, it's there, but you still live in a sustainable world. So what happens with technology is that the more it advances, the less impact it has on the environment. And this was an example of that, where Mr. Bill Gates here is hanging off a lot of paper. And now you don't need that paper. You can put it all on this CD. And we know today that that CD is obsolete. Now you have something like this, and you can put 500 CDs on that. So it becomes smaller and smaller and has less impact on the world. The reason we don't have sustainability today is a very important word you need to remember. That is planned obsolescence. That means that products are designed not to last. They don't want it to last forever. That's not how you make money. People that create things would like your product to break down at a particular time, so you come back and purchase a new product. And an example of this is the light bulb. When it started to be used, manufacturers decided that they would not produce light bulbs that were better than, let's say, 3,000 hours. They said, no, not going to produce your product. So they didn't. And this particular light bulb we have here is a light bulb that is in a fire station in America, and it lasted 110 years. They never changed it in 110 years. And that technology is from 100 years ago. You know, how far could you have taken it if you really wanted to improve it? But they didn't, because they are not in the business of giving you the best. They're in the business of making money. In the future, you don't own the things. It is not yours to own. It is there for you to use. And that makes a huge difference. All of us have things in our house which we occasionally use. We don't use it every day. If you ever go to a storage place, you see how much shit is there, and you're like, oh fuck, I need that hammer. But it's not yours. In a resource-based economy, it's just there. Whenever you need it, it's going to be there. So that's how you will have abundance and sustainability. And if it is not sustainable, then you're not going to have it, because their mission is not to create just abundance. It's more important to have sustainability, because now it is not for profit. It is taking care of your own house. It's supposed to function. So they don't run it to the ground. They say, at this time, you're going to see it. I'm going to get a hammer, and it's not there. It's going to be hammer, not sustainable. Do you have any suggestions? No, I don't. Then you don't have it. I have suggestions. And if you solve the problem, now there's hammers for everybody. Great. Okay, so more questions I got. And this is actually a question from last week. People feel that they get a little bit confused. They wonder what will motivate people when they have access to everything. Because in their head, the way we are brought up is that if you give people everything, they will become this. They will just sit on their ass all day. And first off, good for him. Enjoy it. Great. The reason we feel it is not great is because we have been brought up with guilt regarding it. But you don't feel guilty about things from the past. If a Roman soldier, somebody from Rome, Italy would say, are you a Roman soldier? You say, no. But in the past, maybe somebody felt guilty. You don't defend Rome. They felt guilty about that, but you don't feel guilty about that. So whatever you feel guilty about, that is the way this society has made you feel. And what they tell you is that you should whatever. Why don't you do this? You should be doing this. But what this society doesn't ask you is, what do you want? Very few of us have been brought up with parents or communities that sit back and say, how would you like to spend your life? What excites you about life? We're not used to that. So a way of looking at that is to say, if I would give you $1 billion, how many of you know exactly what you would do with it? Day one, how would you spend it? Most of us, yes, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna travel. That's as far as we can take it, most of us. We don't know how we would spend that amount of money because we have always been living in poverty. But I think if you would have told Jacque Fresco, here's $1 billion, what do you think of that? I think he would say, do you have more? I need more because I'm on a mission. I have a lot of things I want to do. $1 billion is great, but it's not enough. I need more. And that's the way he was raised. So another thing to remember about motivation is to not just look about what you would consider the positive aspect of it. Remember that motivation also creates a lot of incentive to do other things which hurt other people. It is very difficult to know, for example, with COVID, what is going on with the different countries. how are they really doing their statistics? Because they have personal motivations and agendas to, give a particular image. So that motivates people as well. So don't presume that motivation is great. Some aspects of it, but some aspects are not great. So other questions. How will the project start to be implemented? The problem with this question is that we don't know when it is, implying, starting. It's already started. Jacque Fresco already started. So we can say it started. For me to answer a question like this, it must be like this. You tell me, here's $1 billion. How will you start to implement this? Then I can, then we can work on how we will use $1 billion to do this. But because we don't know how we will get resources or what kind of resources we will get, then we don't know how it's going to, what's the next step. So we always work with what we have. When we get more, we say, now we're going to do this. We're going to make a movie. Oh, we have more money. We're going to create a museum. Oh, we have even more money. We're going to create a little piece of the city. Okay, so that's, without knowing what you have, then you don't know how it's going, what's the next step. It's only when you know what you have to work with, then you know what you can do. You say, I can do this and that with that. Next question. And this has also to do with motivation. The struggles of life create many of the greats of the past. When a person is satisfied with their life, will the person want to find solutions to their problems? I would say no. If you're very satisfied with a particular way of thinking, for example, religious people, they are very satisfied to pray for your problems. You say, I'm dying. I got cancer. Say, I'm going to pray for you. And they are satisfied with that. But when their house is leaking, it's raining, water is coming in, and you say, I'm going to pray for you, they say, shut up. I'm going to get somebody to fix that. In those situations, then they're highly motivated. So Jacque Fresco talks about this. And one of the examples I think you might remember is how he creates struggles for his kids. You might have heard that. He didn't provide everything for his kids. And an example he gives is when his kid's car broke down. He could fix very easily, but he threw it in the trash can because he wanted to motivate him. If you want it, gotta fix it. And I've done this with my kids as well. It's very funny. It's their reaction when you have a 2-year-old, and I'm gonna put, I'm putting the wheel, but I put it in like from the side, and I'm like, it's not going in. And that he turns it. So you have to generate that. If you want people motivated, you have to generate it. And they will be, the way, if you would live in that world, just like the world you live in today, if a person would come from the past and say, you live better than the kings, the greatest kings of the past, you should be very satisfied. And you would say, well, I'm not. There's so much more we can do. That's how they will feel in a resource-based economy. There is so much more to do. They won't sit back. They will see that, hey, I wanted a surgery. It took 1 hour. 30 minutes would have been better. And they will work on those things. How can we fix it? How can I not do surgery? There's so much other things I would like to do. Why should I be, spending an hour of my day doing surgery? Can we fix this? How can we improve this system? They don't say, I'm a doctor for life. They say, this is what I do. Let's see if we can fix it. I want more free time. But this society enjoys telling us the struggles from the person that was poor, how he made it. He had 5 brothers and sisters. His mother and father were alcoholics. He had 10 jobs, and he was going to university. He made it. They love telling that story because that's the way for them to tell you, if you fuck up, that's your fault. It's not society's fault. If you really want it, you can do it. Very few people make it. But they don't tell you a lot of stories. They do sometimes. I'm going to give you 2 stories I would like you to remember of people that were helped to become, to become more than they could by themselves. And one of the stories is from Michelangelo. When he was a teenager, he was making statues, and a person came to him. Michelangelo was doing an old person. And the person said, this person doesn't look old because his teeth are too nice. Old people don't have those nice teeth. And the next day he came, Michelangelo had broken off some teeth and made them ugly. And he says, now it looks like an old person. This person told him, if you want, you can come with me and you can study for 3 years and I will teach you all that I can. He was a painter. And Michelangelo, he went and he studied 1 year, and then he told him, you have nothing more to teach me. And then he left. He got what he wanted, a lot of knowledge about painting. And when he was done, he said, I'm leaving. I got more work to do. Another person is the person that wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. I haven't read this book. It's just a story. This book is pretty famous in America. It was written in the 60s. And she had a friend that told her she had difficulties finding time for writing. And he told her, I'm going to give you a salary for 1 year so you can finish your book. And she was able to finish it. So it is always about having a struggle to make it. Sometimes you need relief, you need assistance, and it helps you to create even greater things that you could by yourself. So the future, a lot of what we hold up as important will not have any significance. It will not mean anything to them. To us, it means a lot. To them, it won't. They will have some things that they will keep, which still has significance to them. They will keep those. But they won't keep Albert Einstein's picture because that is not important. They don't need to see his face. What did he look like? They will only keep his work. But today's society says, what does he look like? Doesn't matter. And he said it himself. He took this from Isaac Newton, this quote. I have seen, if I have seen anything, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And that means that the knowledge I've gotten, it isn't me. Without them, I couldn't be where I was. And that's the attitude of the future. So a little bit of those things. Tatiana, some of those were your questions. And what I do is that when somebody sends me a question, I try to find the essence of it. What is it the person is asking? And those were the things I was thinking about. But if you feel, I wanted to know about a particular thing, you have to tell me, because it is sometimes a person asks a question, but they really maybe wanted something else. But I talked about this. You have to tell me if it was something else. So guys, that was about it. I hope you got something useful out of it. Do you guys have any questions or anything you want to bring up? Just unmute yourself.
I wrote 2 questions in the chat, Payman.
Yes, okay, let me see those. Give me 1 second. Let me turn off this. And let's see here. Will change happen in time given climate change, environmental destruction? Okay, so if we look at COVID, it's a great example of how the system works. It waits, it waits, it waits until it sees how it can make profit. Even though they say, you know, it's coming, you're gonna eat it. In a month from now, your entire country is gonna be run over by this. They still sit back and wait. That's the way the system is designed. So even though they know it's coming, they will wait. And it's only when economics gets influenced, not if the world burns. If the store is still open and the people in charge are still making their money, the system is still working, they still have enough guards, enough soldiers to keep it going, then it's gonna keep on going. But it is inevitable by its own design that it will fail, because they will continue to automate. Even though, you know, it's gonna be 10 people working in a factory where thousands used to work. As long as they can keep it going, they will. Second questions, are there any resource calculations available from TVP to illustrate availability to provide for estimate plateau of 10 billion people on Earth? So the question, for example, how much will a city cost? That question can really not be answered. The problem is that, first off, money isn't fixed. So if I would sit down today and make perfect calculation of exactly what a city will cost, tomorrow, suddenly money's value has changed. A country has crashed. Oh, my calculations are out the door. The only way to know exactly what something will cost is that you say to me, what is it that you want? And I give you a list and you say, based on that list, this is what it will cost right now. So it's very difficult to do that with funding. I had a person that asked me this. She said she could raise fundings in Sweden. She said, how much do you want? I said, that is not an appropriate question. The question is, how much can you give me? Don't ask me what I want, because I want it all. You have to tell me what you can give me, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with it. That's the right way to go about it. It's like people that say, you know, I want to help. And I say, what can you do? Well, I can cut hair. Okay, cut our hair. But don't ask me what I want. Tell me what you can do, and we're going to see if we can place you somewhere. That's the way that question should go about.
Payman, the question I was trying to illustrate wasn't about money necessarily.
No, okay.
But the focus is, okay, so we need to produce X amount of tons of wheat and grapes and clean water and all that kind of stuff. There is a given amount that everybody needs, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do it in a way that's going to disable your ability to do that. So there is, of course, a carrying capacity of the planet Earth, right? But you have to set aside enough surface to be able to grow food for people. And you have to leave enough surface alone. You have to fish to give people fish, because there are key nutrients in there, but not too much.
Yeah.
And the question is, are there any available calculations that we can review that talk about, okay, well, how much are we going to need? I mean, if you talk to someone who works with the city today, I have a friend who works in Gothenburg, and they literally calculate how many tons of shit per day, per year, they're going to need to process. How many cubic meters of water are we going to have to provide, or do we need to be able to provide to people? And that's quite a challenge just for a city. But I mean, if you're going to find a solution on the global scale, we need to know: is it possible to support 10 billion people, or do you need to find another solution for that as well?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, today's system, if you will, does not calculate anything for the entire world.
No.
Calculate out of the point of view for each individual or each individual business, and then everybody survives as best they can, and it becomes self-regulatory, and some people suffer and some people live very well.
Yeah.
Most people suffer and some people live very well.
Yeah. So the difficulties with this is that if you will try to calculate today, is that the tools you are using are from a monetary system. They are like, whatever system you would take and say, will this be implemented? It's very difficult to know, because today, for example, with planned obsolescence, they're concerned, all the tools you have today are concerned with profit. Now,
That's
if
true.
you would have a system that tries to provide, then it is no longer bound to, is this making money? The question is, do we have the resources to create this, to give, for example, water to everybody? It becomes a totally different way of handling it. So therefore, using today's tools becomes, it's very difficult to use today's tools to evaluate how they will be solved in the future. Are those solutions monetary, or are they only based on providing the best technology, using all the resources in the most appropriate way? And I haven't seen any company, use those kinds of. All of them are stuck with monetary tools to try to evaluate.
They are. So perhaps you can ask the biologists, if you will, because if we take a super simple question like, water, let's say 30 liters of water per person on Earth today, we're talking about 300 cubic kilometers of water. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think, if my calculation is right, but
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I heard that if you are making like a big pyramid, like really big, you can fit entire city in it, but it needed to be very big. Like I don't remember so much, but it's something that can be done, So you can put lots of people in a very small,
space.
Space.
yes, very small space, like
Tokyo.
maybe yes, Tokyo and stuff. But not only. There is lots of places in the world that you can do this in them. So
Well, put it this way: if you guys want to make a calculation, I'm happy to help out. I can use spreadsheets or whatever. For I do have access to some agricultural information and stuff like that. Just to try to understand how many square kilometers would it take if you wanted to grow a loaf of bread for each family on the planet. You know, what would that take?
Sorry, Stefan, just 1 minute. It's just Peter here. From what I understand, the issues that we have today with calculating what you're mentioning is that we don't have access to all the relevant data around the world. Obviously, in each country, they have their own data, and that's what Pageman says with COVID. You know, what is released or is given to the public is not always accurate because of the system we're in today, as you can imagine. So I remember Roxanne saying a few times, you know, we won't really know. We don't know until an RBE is agreed upon by all or most, and we won't have access to that data until that time. And until then, we're talking about unknowns. The only thing I wanted to touch on regarding a few processes, you have some very valid points, but to me, you're speaking or you're thinking about in this terms in our thinking today. So with crops and everything, there's already information out there that our agricultural land has only X amount of seasons left before it's going to be unusable, efficiently unusable because of pesticides and excess use of that land. So there is already technology in place like vertical farming, and at the moment it is very expensive and obviously money intense. So my projection would be, is our current way, maybe the question that we should ask, is the current way that we eat, produce food really the best or the most efficient way to do so? Just because we've done it for many years and we have mechanized some of the processes, is it the best way? That's the question I'd like to, I would propose. Are we better off having X amount of controlled environments in a factory, where you can control, you don't need to worry about pesticides or the purely organic matter. And the other one I was thinking about was water. Like, that's a good point. We do, if you want to give X amount of water to everyone on Earth, we need a lot of water. From what I understand, if you actually look at how much a human absorbs of that water, it's not that much. So we piss and shit out a lot. And what we do at the moment, generally in a developed world, is we treat that wee and poo and put it back into the ocean or creeks. Whereas in our mindset today, like if you think about in the space, from what I understand, in space, in the International Space Center, they recycle all that wee urine and re-drink it. And in the future, it seems very disgusting for us to think of today, but in the future, there is no reason why we couldn't do that as well. Like, when you look at a lot of I know I'm in Australia, obviously, when you look at a lot of the requirements for our waste treatment, the water or the product coming out at the other end, the liquid product, is actually cleaner than creek water. So it's actually better, or you can say better, healthier than what we drink out of the tap today. So what I would envision or project in the future is that we'd use that water and organic matter instead of just burying it or getting rid of it.
So you're making a really good point. Yeah.
So you said they're very valid questions, but the issues we have today is, one, we can't get the data really, so we'd just be projecting. Two, we don't really know. To me, it's an unknown. We can project the hell we want, but to me, it's a bit of a waste of time at this time to project what may be in the future. But yeah, we sometimes just need to think about it. Like we've even us as POCs, and we talk about it all the time. We discuss things in our mindset today and in our thinking today, and even in a year's time, when we go back to it, we go, shit, we've got extra from that. So it's hard. was it Einstein saying that you're trying to solve a problem with the same mindset or something? You can't
Yeah,
solve a problem with the same thinking that you got you into that problem.
Yeah.
I have a picture I just wanted to share with regarding this you're mentioning, Stefan. For example, this is a picture of if you would put all the world's, but this is a little bit old, but it's 7 billion people. If you would put them so they lived next to each other, just like they do, and these are the examples, like if everybody would live as close as you would in Paris, that's how much space you need. So you can use, if you would bring up those, like, for example, if you would do those statistics, this is the one I used to use, how will you fit all the world's people? And this is a good way of showing, you don't need so much space to fit all the world's people. And I've been to Paris. It isn't like people are piled upon each other. So this is just an example of how little space you really need to get all the world's people, in a place on Earth. What I have felt is very difficult, which Jacque does a lot, is to be the technical aspects of it. Those usually I don't get involved in, because there's too many. First off, I'm not an engineer. I don't have that background. And for me, the second is that there are so many variables regarding how it's handled today and how you would handle it with, with this way of thinking, that this is a guy working out of his garage. He has a solution for cleaning water. In today's society, it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to sell that idea. But he has a way of cleaning salt water, but he can't sell it because he's not good at marketing. He can't speak so well. So he's sitting on a great idea. And in a resource-based economy, he doesn't have to sell it. He just has to present it. Then suddenly all that data becomes, obsolete. So that's the way I viewed, finding the specifics. How would the city look exactly? Jacque has given those models. He's very good in his video in explaining those. But we know, and the way he has taught us, is that is the best he could do. The cities will surpass his ideas. They will look at them and say, whoa, well, whoa, that's some old ideas. When they bring all the world's people to create an appropriate city, it was like, great fundamentals, but we're gonna surpass it. But if we would get a lot of questions like that, how would you manage water? If we're holding a lecture for engineers, then that data would, for them, give us a more validation. They would say, well, it seems like they've been looking into things. So I would say that if it becomes very relevant, we will contact you to assist us with that. How do you feel about that, Stefan?
Yeah, I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I can certainly do those kind of calculations, maybe based on today's technology, of course, because we cannot guess what the future is. But I have some great examples from Holland on how you can get the maximum per square kilometer from an agricultural perspective, and how you can manage water and that kind of stuff. Because this, at the end of the day, there's a certain amount of calories people need to eat and a certain amount of water they need to drink. So the equation we need to solve is, how do we produce adequate amounts and variety of stuff for people to consume, nutritionally, I mean. I think culturally, it's not a problem with the new model. because we're not going to want a new iPhone every year or every other year, right? You're going to have one that's built really well, like, for example, the Fairphone, that's serviceable, that's going to last maybe 100 years, like that light bulb, right? So things like that won't be a huge issue once technology matures. So I'm not afraid of that. I am very frustrated by it, though, because of my own personal experiences with buying equipment and having it break for no good reason, or I have to.
There is a good reason, you know.
I know there is a good reason. Just don't remind me of it. It makes me pissed off. I mean, I tried to get a new battery for my lawnmower, and they don't make it anymore. You have to buy a new lawnmower. Well, shit, I should have just kept the old gas one then.
I remember regarding water, Jacque brings up an example about agriculture. And he was talking about an egg that, you know, today they just water everything, just splash water, and 90% of the water just goes down, doesn't even, you know, remain on the plant. And he was talking about an egg that in the future you would have, you know, for example, a salad would be in an egg shape. It has everything it needs to grow to the way you want it to do, just like an egg. A chicken, you know, it doesn't get external things, it has it inside of it, and that would reduce suddenly a lot of water consumption. And it's the same with what is it called, the kind of growing of water, non-soil water, what is it called?
Hydroponics.
Yes, for example, now if you suddenly would find out that hydroponics, because of some technology that we haven't had access to, but now you have, and you don't have to spray, you know, fields of water, and suddenly water becomes, the calculations become totally different. Oh, we saved tons of water because the method suddenly changed. But for now, people don't ask those technical questions. When they do, I will cry because I really don't have those answers. They don't come as naturally as talking about other aspects of the Venus project. That's
those those questions, at least you can answer, you can work on answering. But the ones, the responses I've gotten, that'll never work because people work this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
that's why.
Fabulous. Yeah. Okay. What do you want me to say to that?
Yeah, that's why those aspects are usually more important, because you can show them. I remember I was holding a lecture and I was showing the cities, and a person came to me and said, you know, I don't want to live in that city. And I said, okay. So even though you show the best city, if the person, what he needs to understand is whatever he thinks is appropriate is the way he has been brought up. That is more important to teach people than to give them the technical aspects of living in a high-tech society, because they will say, no, I like going to the, you know, bring my water by a bucket. I enjoy that because they think it's real. So that's the way they have been brought up. So Nathaniel, say Apple could easily exchange current phones for new ones. Yeah, all companies, we know that. But why should they? You know, they're here to make money. I remember with what is his name? I forgot him. The creator, Apple, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he said that they had the iPad before they had the iPhone, but they decided to hold it back because they felt that if they market the iPhone first, then they're going to get more profits coming out with that product later. So they hold back a lot of technology. They buy the patents, they just keep it here. Tatiana, I think we can distribute resources more evenly than we do now. for now, example, many markets throw away a lot of products just to keep the demand for them instead of distributing these products to those who need them. Yes, and that's the same with fruit. You know, when they produce fruits, they are supposed to look in a particular way. And if it's, you know, ugly, whatever that means, they just throw it away. And this with COVID, how much they have been slaughtering animals and just throwing it away, because their purpose is not to feed people; it's to, you know, make the profit.
And they're not even evil for trying to do it. They have to.
They're doing what
Yeah.
they were taught to do. My question, by the way, that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Happy to be here. You had touched base on that planned obsolescence, but we go even further with the inherent obsolescence too. You know, you got maybe Bob who owns the factory. He's buying the cheapest product he can, trying to save himself money on top of the planned obsolescence. So not only does the Venus Project, you know, it touches base on planned obsolescence, but it would fix that inherent obsolescence as well. I mean, then we really get an idea how well our products could be built in a world where we just try to build good products. I mean,
and there's also perceived obsolescence. That is when you look at your car and you say, it's working, it's taking you from A to B, but you know, it doesn't look like the latest model.
Around the back of it.
Yeah, you know. So that will also become obsolete in a society where it is no longer, you don't have something to impress others. You have it because it is the function you want.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for. And if somebody puts something extra on it, it doesn't make sense anymore. You know, just to impress. You don't impress anymore in that way.
Well, thank you for that extra vocabulary there, Payman. Intrinsic obsolescence and planned obsolescence I was aware of, but perceived obsolescence, that's a good one. That's fashion, right?
Yeah, and the first person, it was with the car models, Henry Ford. You know what color can they have it? He said they can have any color they want as long as it's black. But after he sold a lot of cars, other car companies said, you know, we're gonna give them the illusion that they have a shitty product. Yeah, and they said, Henry Ford gives you black, but we give you blue and red. And people started buying that. And then Henry Ford started doing it as well.
H&M is another good example in your town, Payman.
Yeah, that's what they live for.
They invented the concept of fast fashion, right? You have to keep changing.
I think it wasn't it Sarah that was, no? It wasn't?
Maybe. I thought, well, anyway, the person I know that works at H&M claims that they invented it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the total detriment, right? You know, you produce cheap clothing in every sense of the meaning, and then you have to change it out all the time, which is very unfortunate.
So David writes, how can we prepare for the transition? Okay. David, have you seen the lectures about expectations?
No, that part, no.
No, you need to see those.
Okay.
Because
I will.
what those help, the way it helps you is that, first off, when you understand that, it will calm you. So you don't get frustrated in the world you live in. So you don't go insane. That's what is important, to understand that this is how it has to play out. So you have to prepare yourself for, you know, how things will happen, and it won't look good. It won't be easy. That's how you prepare, and you study the subject, because when things go bad, the more it goes bad, the more people will look for something different. And then you're prepared to say, I would like to present this, or you're holding a lecture or something. So you're preparing for that. Is when they come to you and say, you know, what is this? That's the best you can do right now. I think Peter linked it. That's one of my favorites. It helped me a lot. And it's still helping me. When you think the world is supposed to be in a particular way, you're living in your personal fantasy. And that's why you get hurt. Whatever happens, when you accept that, you're living in reality, whatever it is. That doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do anything. You do the best that you can, but you remain in reality. And you don't waste time on, you know, it should be like this. Why don't people understand? That will waste a lot of your energy. Oh, okay, it's
wise
a link.
words.
Yeah. I'm standing on giants, that's why, okay? So.
There is a very simple answer for why things are like that.
Yeah, but no, unfortunately, nobody told us, or at least me.
I can tell you, but the question is if it will help you, you know, because I can tell you
about
what that you say.
Expectations.
Expectations and expectations and other things. Things are like they are because nature want it to be like this. Because nature can catch up with everything we can think we can produce, you know. What you have right now is it's very much. It's, for people, it looks like this is too much for nature, but it's not. It's only look like this, and I have a theory that can show you that we are not as powerful as we think. But that's not for now. But nature can deal in with everything. You can reduce, you know. So it limits us to certain speed, and that's what's going on. So you can you may want things to go faster, but you will not get the thing faster because nature have to be able to get used with it, you know. So
Golan, I have only one concern with that view. It may be true, but I think there is one concern.
Yes.
If you wait for it to happen, will it happen in time? And I'm referring to climate change. I'm referring to global pollution. There's a time limit.
I know. And everything is happening in time, you know.
Nature, I like to say this: nature has laws, and the human race is not exempt.
Of course.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
So you have to realize two things: that time is not yours, and nature is not yours either. There's two things that human can think they have an ownership on, but it's not the case. So, as I said earlier, we are not as powerful as we think. You saw with the COVID how much nature can rebuild if we have if we give him a little time without us fussing around and polluting and all of that. But I've a theory that can show you that we are not so powerful as you think. If someone wants to see it, I can translate it to English or something and show you, but not right now. I will I will need some address, you know. So other than that, what will you get in time? It's like we see time is I cannot tell you because I don't have this information. But if you think nature will lose in this climate change and everything, you are wrong. Nature will not give us the power to get him killed. You know, maybe we'll kill ourselves, and I don't think that even will work. But we will not kill nature because we can think we are can do what the hell we want, and that's not the case either.
So I
If
think
you
what
if you think
what
on
you're
it,
saying.
wait a second, Peter. And what I want to say that we are very responsive people. We are very responsive, and if you are only respond to things, you are not really do whatever you think you want to do because you are responding. You know, you're not you are responding to something that was before. You understand?
Yeah.
You think you can do whatever you want, but you will not really do it because you need something that will happen before for you to do this thing. You know, right now you are sitting and you hypothetically can stand now, but you will not do it because you didn't have something that happened that will cause you to stand up. You understand?
Yeah.
It's
Somehow.
I think
okay.
I think what you're saying is that we have to
very
abide by
mechanical.
natural laws. Is that correct? You're saying that we have to abide by natural laws, what nature puts forward, not what we want?
We have to obey a lot more than natural laws because we are. If you will take everything, you're responsive. You're responding to. you will get that people are on very short leash, but we can't see this. Only if you will check it, you can get to see this. If you check how I don't know, the words today. So
Can you write that to me, what you're trying to say? I have a little bit difficulty understand. I understand some part of it, but if you can write to me later, because I would like to see what, like sometimes it's easier to write it. If you can do that later, write to me and see if, I think I understand what you're trying to say, but I would like you, if you can write to me, I would like to, see what you were thinking there. So I was thinking about. Sorry?
You can write to me something that I could respond on, like
No,
a
the
question.
thing you're trying to say now. If you
Yes,
could
but
write it to me later,
I'm
because I had
saying
a
a lot
little.
of things, and I will not remember.
No, okay.
What you asked.
All right. Now I was thinking that actually we can talk about that later, but I was thinking that now it's been like 1.5 hours, and usually I end it at this time. So until next time, if you have any questions, send them to me, and I will make some new material, and we can continue the discussion probably 2 weeks from now. All right, so thank you all for coming, and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Keep getting it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Okay.
Thank you, people.
Bye, everybody. Good meeting you all.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.